"You're safe, kid." Single dad took a bullet for the CEO's daughter and changed everything. Marcus Chen didn't think twice when he heard the screams. He just moved. One second he was walking his daughter Emma home from the park on a warm Chicago afternoon, and the next, he was diving in front of a terrified little girl he'd never met, shielding her with his body as a robbery turned violent. The bullet tore through his shoulder, and as he hit the pavement, blood spreading across his shirt, he looked into the eyes of that frightened child and whispered 4 words that would change both their lives forever: "You're safe, kid. You're safe." What Marcus didn't know in that moment, as sirens wailed in the distance and his own daughter screamed for help, was that the girl he'd just saved was the daughter of one of the wealthiest men in the city. He didn't know about the cameras that caught everything, or that his split-second decision would spark a chain of events that would prove kindness isn't just about one heroic moment, it's about what happens after. Before we continue with Marcus's incredible story, if you believe in the power of kindness and want more inspiring stories like this one, please hit that subscribe button and join our Heartfelt Moments family. Leave a like if this story touches your heart, and comment below to tell us about a time when someone's kindness changed your life. Now, let's get back to Marcus. Marcus was a single dad, working 2 jobs to keep a roof over 7-year-old Emma's head. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier, and since then, every day had been a battle to stay afloat. He worked as a janitor at an office building downtown during the day and drove for a rideshare service at night. There were no vacations, no savings account, and definitely no health insurance. But Marcus never complained. Emma was his world, and as long as he could put food on the table and keep her smiling, nothing else mattered. The day of the shooting, Marcus had taken a rare afternoon off to spend time with Emma at the park. They were walking home, her small hand in his, when they heard shouting from the street corner ahead. A man was trying to snatch a purse from a woman while her daughter stood frozen on the sidewalk, clutching a teddy bear. Marcus saw the flash of metal, a gun, and his instincts kicked in. He pushed Emma behind a mailbox and ran toward the little girl, reaching her just as the gunman fired in panic. The pain in Marcus's shoulder was instant and overwhelming, but he stayed on his feet long enough to scoop up the child and get her behind a parked car. The gunman fled, and within minutes, police and ambulances flooded the scene. The little girl's mother, who turned out to be Catherine Reynolds, was hysterical with gratitude. Her daughter, Sophie, was unhurt, saved by a stranger who now sat bleeding on the concrete, trying to comfort his own terrified child. At the hospital, Marcus learned the surgery to remove the bullet and repair the damage would cost over $60,000. He had maybe $800 in his checking account. When the social worker came to discuss payment options, Marcus felt that familiar knot of panic in his stomach. He'd survived the injury, but the debt would bury him and Emma for years. He was already trying to figure out which job he'd have to quit and how he'd explain to his landlord why the rent would be late when Catherine Reynolds walked into his hospital room. She wasn't alone. With her was her husband, James Reynolds, the CEO of Reynolds Technologies, a Fortune 500 company. James was a tall man with graying hair and eyes that had seen plenty of boardrooms but, Marcus suspected, not many moments like this. Catherine was crying as she approached Marcus's bed, holding Sophie's hand. The little girl was still clutching that teddy bear. "Mr. Chen," James said, his voice thick with emotion, "you saved my daughter's life. You didn't hesitate. You didn't even know who she was, and you put yourself between her and a bullet." He paused, struggling to continue. "How can we ever repay you?" Marcus, exhausted and in pain, just shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. I'm just glad she's okay." Any parent would have done the same. But James Reynolds disagreed. Over the following days, while Marcus recovered, the Reynolds family took action. They paid every penny of his medical bills. Then they went further. James personally visited Marcus's landlord and paid his rent for the entire year. He arranged for a college fund for Emma that would cover her education from kindergarten through graduate school. But the biggest change came when James offered Marcus a job, not out of pity, but out of respect. "I've watched the security footage 100 times, James told him. "The way you assessed the situation, moved without hesitation, protected both children, that's not just courage, Marcus. That's leadership. I want you to head up our new community outreach program. We're launching an initiative to improve safety and support for working families in Chicago, and I can't think of anyone better to lead it." Marcus was stunned. He'd never finished college, never worked in an office, never imagined himself as anything other than a man doing his best to get by. But James saw something in him that he'd never seen in himself, the capacity not just to survive, but to help others thrive. The job changed everything. Marcus finally had stability, benefits, a future. He could take Emma to doctor's appointments without panicking about the cost. He could help her with homework without falling asleep from exhaustion. But more importantly, he could use his new position to help other struggling parents in his neighborhood, connecting them with resources, creating after-school programs, fighting for safer streets. 5 years later, Marcus still works for Reynolds Technologies. Sophie and Emma are best friends. Catherine and Marcus have become close friends too, bonded by that terrifying day. And Marcus has helped hundreds of families find their footing in a city that can be unforgiving to those without resources. When people call him a hero, Marcus always corrects them. "I just did what anyone should do," he says. The real heroes are the people who see someone in need and choose kindness every single day, not just in one moment. But here's the truth that Marcus's story teaches us: kindness is contagious. One split-second decision to protect a stranger created ripples that spread far beyond that Chicago sidewalk. It changed 2 families forever, lifted an entire community, and reminded all of us that our capacity to care for each other is the most powerful force we have. You might not have the chance to take a bullet for someone, but every day offers opportunities to step up, to see someone struggling and choose to help. Marcus's courage opened the door, but it was the Reynolds family's kindness in response that built a bridge. And it's the kindness Marcus now spreads through his work that keeps the circle growing. So ask yourself, who can you protect today? Whose burden can you lighten? Whose life can you touch with simple human kindness? Because you never know, your smallest act of compassion might just change everything.